Pre-election tax cuts are less likely now that government indebtedness is higher than anticipated, according to analysts. The Office for National Statistics reported that in the year ended in March, government borrowing, or the shortfall between spending and tax revenue, was £120.7 billion. Even though this was less than the year before, the government's forecaster had overestimated it by £6.6 billion. The administration lowered national insurance in March, and there have been rumours that it may lower taxes once more in the autumn. If the Chancellor was hoping March's figures would provide more scope for tax cuts at a fiscal event later this year, he will have been disappointed, stated Ruth Gregory, Deputy Chief UK Economist at Capital Economics. She also pointed out that given that interest rates are no longer predicted to decline as swiftly as originally anticipated, government interest payments may be greater than anticipated in addition to the increased borrowing. As a result, the government would have less headroom to adhere to its own self-imposed expenditure caps. Cara Passetti, senior economist at the lower-income households-focused think tank Resolution Foundation, stated that the most recent data indicated no signs of extra wriggle room for any pre-election budget. The Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR, the government's independent forecasting authority, had projected that borrowing would total £114.1 billion for the year. There must be a general election by the end of January 2025, and there have been rumours that the government may try to reduce taxes once more before voters cast their ballot. Chancellor Jeremy Hunt expressed his desire to reduce taxes in the autumn, if we can, in an interview with the Financial Times last week. In the spring budget, the Chancellor maintained the 2p reduction in national insurance that was announced in the autumn statement of the previous year. The government will spend about £10 billion on each cut, according to OBR estimates. The head of Pantheon Macroeconomics UK division, Rob Wood, stated that he still anticipated further tax cuts from the Chancellor prior to an election. The future administration, he continued, will face a tricky choice between holding the line on the Chancellor's recent tax cuts or raising taxes to fix creaking public services. We suspect whoever the next government is will end up pushing through at least some tax rises to balance the books. In the last year, government spending has climbed by approximately £58 billion, according to Jessica Barnaby, the ONS Deputy Director for Public Sector Finances, with increased spending on public services and benefits outstripping large reductions in interest payable and energy support scheme costs. But with public sector income up £66 billion, overall, the deficit still fell, she stated. The ONS added that numbers will be updated in the upcoming months about the public sector's finances for the previous fiscal year. These are only preliminary estimates. £11.9 billion was borrowed in March alone, which was more than analysts had predicted but £4.7 billion less than a year ago. At the end of March, the government's total debt, or the total amount of money owed over years, was £2.7 trillion. That amounts to 98.3% of the GDP of the United Kingdom, which is still at levels last observed in the early 1960s, according to the ONS statistical analysis. A spokesperson for the Treasury Department stated, "Debt increased in recent years because we rightly protected millions of jobs during COVID and paid half of people's energy bills after Putin's invasion of Ukraine sent bills skyrocketing. The government must stick to the plan to get debt falling," he continued. Years of conservative chaos have left Britain with spiralling taxes and mortgages, all while borrowing remains out of control, stated Sarah Oney MP, the Liberal Democrats' Treasury spokesman. This strikes yet another fatal blow to the economic credibility of the Conservative government.